Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be talking about one of the early iconic American TVs known as the Philco Predicta. There are several different models. This one is the Princess. There's also a Siesta and a Pedestal and a Danish Modern and a tandem set. This is the most basic. It's a 17-inch set, and the most unique feature about it is the picture tube is actually outside the TV. So the chassis and all the electronics are inside here, the tuner and everything, and the picture tube is on top and it swivels, which is, you know, a really cool, really distinctive feature to it. They also came in an interesting range of colors. This one was actually beige when I got it, which is the most boring color. And it was quite rusty, so I painted it red, which was one of the original colors. There's also a gold and a maroon, I believe. And otherwise, this is the original white color here. Tuner goes in here. I'm missing the original knob, unfortunately, but this one works okay. Some had UHF, some didn't. That was a fairly new thing in the late 50s. Another rather cool feature about this is a built-in antenna. However, most of them, including this one, are missing the antenna. I think that's because a lot of these ended up in hotel-motel chains, and they would be hardwired into the closed circuit system for the motel, and they would take the antenna out. Usually there's a metal plate on here with a couple screws, but this one just had a hole. I've since found a telescoping antenna that's fairly close to the original, but I don't have the mounting plate, so I'll have to rig something up. Now, what's also common on a lot of these Predictas is they do not work, including this one. In fact, this is, I'm a little embarrassed to say, a project that I gave up on. I got this, about 2 years ago, and it was actually one of the first real vintage TVs that I tried to restore. But this thing was dead, totally, more dead than anything I've ever worked on. Not only was the chassis rusty and whatnot, but that was just a matter of removing the rust, sanding it down, primer, and using some metal car paint. That was easy enough. But the electronics, boy, I recapped all the electrolytics, some of the paper caps, most of the paper caps, and the voltages check out okay, the tubes are all okay, but nothing. No sound, no picture, no high voltage, nothing. So I made it look pretty. I bought a stand. It's not the original stand, but it fits. And I just slid it in the corner. It's been sitting here ever since. I'll show you why these are so hard to work on in another room. A while back, I stumbled across somebody selling the chassis for the same model as that Princess in the other room. So I picked it up thinking maybe between these two chassis I could get mine to work. But like I said, it's just been sitting there. I haven't had a chance to do much with it. But this is actually very representative. My chassis looks very similar. Same rust, same kind of chewed up condition. So what makes these so difficult to work on? One, they're kind of cramped, and these sets had some overheating issues. And some of them were series wired, which is where the tubes are wired, like Christmas tree light bulbs. The old ones where if one blow tube goes out, they all go out. Well, at least luckily with this model, it does have a transformer, so that's not as much a concern. But the real problem is the way they built these. They actually used early circuit boards. There's a main one over here. There's an IF tuner inside this metal box here, and then here's the actual channel clunker. This one's partially disassembled and some bits are missing out of it, but it gives you a nice look inside. This is fairly conventional. That would sit over here and be connected by a cable that's missing on this guy. So we got a circuit board over here. So your thoughts would be, oh, we got to replace these old capacitors here, so we'll just flip it over. Well, a little problem with that. Underneath, a lot of it is obscured by steel, and on this side, it's in like that IF box. It's completely obscured by steel. So, well, okay, we'll just take the screws out and pop the circuit board out, right? Circuit board isn't screwed in. It's hardwired in. There are little metal posts all around the periphery of these circuit boards. And the wires are wrapped around these pegs like old wire wrap technology that they used on computers in the 60s and 70s. And oh, I don't know, maybe there's 50, 60 of those on this whole board. So if you want to take this board out to properly recap it, check the resistors, coils, and so on, you have to remove every single one of these wires by unwrapping it from the terminal post all around. Get the board out, recap it, and then to see if it works, hook them all back up. If there's a problem, you got to take it back out again. If you're lucky and you know that there's only a few bad parts, you can do what this guy seems to have done on a couple of these parts, which is to cut the old part on top. Geez, you didn't do a very good job of soldering this one in, but you can cut the part out, and if there's enough of the lead sticking up, you can solder the new part on top without having to take the board out. But that's really not going to cut it, because another problem he's had is when they would run hot and then cool down, the circuit board would expand and contract a bit. And these early circuit boards were not as reliable as they are now. These weren't made with glass, epoxy fiberglass like they are now. These are some type of early polymer type material, I suppose. Well, one of the problems is these tube sockets, which are right on the circuit boards, would develop cold solder joints, bad connections. So really the right way to do this is to get this board out, replace all the bad components, and touch up all the solder joints, especially in the tube sockets. Another problem is just the nature of the set, the way it's wired with this one small compact chassis, and everything hangs off of it. Like here are some of the controls on this long cable. Here's another control. And then of course there's the wires going up to the pitcher tube, which are mostly missing in this set, but here's one of them, including the high voltage. So there's actually like an umbilical cord that goes up to the top of the chassis and goes to the pitcher tube. So all that combined, nightmare to work on. But because they're so popular, if you go online and search for it, you'll find many restoration sites. I think at some point everybody who's into this hobby has to at least attempt it once, just to say that they've done it. So why did I bring this out? Why am I talking about this now? Well, it's because I picked up another one tonight. I'm going to pause the video and show you what I picked up.